Hey guys! So, since we have already created our stamina bar, I wanted to do just a quick video on how we can use it to sprint, but then I kind of spiraled into other things that we will need to make it work. So now this video will be about sprinting and draining stamina, also about updating our stats, and how we can regenerate our stats as well, okay? So, first thing that we need to do is, in your player blueprint, let's open the stats component. So we can either right click and edit stats component, or you can just open it from where it is located. Now we need to set up some kind of way to communicate to other blueprints when we update our stats. And for that, we're going to use event dispatchers. So let's create new event dispatcher, call on stat updated. This one will need two inputs, so we'll create here inputs, new parameter. First one will be the stat that we need to update, call stats e, and second one will be value, which will be type float. And think of this event dispatcher as some kind of message that will send to anyone who might listen what to do, basically. So we're going to call it in our set current stat, because every time we update or modify our stat, so if we modify our current stat, it will always go to set current stat, so it will always register in here. So what we can do is drag this event dispatcher and call it. We'll connect it here and connect the stat and the value. Okay, just remember that we are connecting current stat, we're not modifying the stat that we already have. So we'll need to think about that when we're updating our health bars and stuff like that. And there is one way it won't update, and that is if we modify our max stat value. So if we, for example, equip the item that has a max stat on it, because if you go to modify max stat, it doesn't use the set current stat, only in this way when it's carry capacity, so it doesn't matter. Or if you go to set max stat, it doesn't use it either. So instead of setting it up again, and we would have to change the variables as well to different things and then do if checks and stuff, what we can do is in set max stat, we will set current stat, and we will just set it to the same thing that we already have, but that will force the event dispatcher to dispatch every time we update any of our stats. Okay, we got the get current stat here, so we can just connect it here, and the stat is the stat. All right, so we're just setting it to the same value that it already has. And now to listen to these event dispatchers, what we can do is go to our player HUD. Let's see, this one needs to be compiled, by the way, otherwise it won't work correctly, so make sure you compile it. Now in player HUD, we'll get stats component. And from stats component, we will on update on stat updated. So we'll bind event on stat updated. So this will run every time we update the stat, and the event will be, we can just drag from event, create event, and in here you got the selection. We will create matching event. Okay, this event will be update stat bars, because we are updating our mana, stamina, and health. And since we are updating only these three, we can also switch on stat, so it doesn't try to do anything else on different stats, and we only need to set it on those three. So what we can do is get just random one, health bar or something, set %, just so we can get this function, disconnect this, and then promote this to a variable. This one will be stat bar, just so we can get the correct type. And now we can set it on health, mana, and stamina. Okay. Now for health, it will be health bar. For mana, it will be mana bar. And for stamina, stamina bar. Okay, now connect it all here and connect the stat bar. Now to get a percentage is we can connect the value here because this is just the current stat. Okay, so what we can do is again drag the player reference, get stat component, stats component, get max stat, and max stat will be the stat from here. And since we have a current stat, we can just divide this current stat with the max stat and we get the percentage. Now let's make it look a little bit nicer. So we'll redirect this and we'll redirect this as well. Press Q, by the way, if you want to straighten them. Okay, and now we have that one. This is basically updating our percentage. And now you can probably even see it when we equip some item. Like, I don't remember when I have a max stat value, maybe on plate armor. So plate armor, yeah, I got health, mana and stamina, all of them actually. So I don't have any items here because I have updated the map, so I'll spawn the plate armor. Now you can see the stats in the background kind of. If I equip the plate armor, it changes the max stat value, so the percentage is different of all of them. Okay, so that works, it's updating. And now what we can do is create our sprint function. So in the player blueprint, find the empty space on the bottom. I got this keyboard X event, I'll delete it and I'll do keyboard shift because I want to have sprint on a shift. And what we're going to do on pressed, we need to do a branch check and we need to check if we can actually sprint. So there is few checks that we need to do. So we're going to create function, call can sprint. Okay, this one we can make pure, so we don't have to connect it, and doesn't need any inputs or anything. We can just check if stat component get current stat. So if stamina is less or equals 0, and we'll do not boolean. Okay, so if it's not less or equal 0, you don't really have to do less, but just in case some of the function will remove more stamina than necessary or something, you know, you're always better to have a less as well, not just equal. So if it's not equal 0, then we can sprint, but then we also need to check if you're actually moving, because we don't want to sprint if you're not moving, if you're standing on a place. Okay, the way we can get that is get vector, get vector, which one was it? It's get, we need to get a, so to get a vector we need to get velocity. We can't just check the speed because that just wouldn't work, because you can't really check the current speed properly. You check it through this. So we get the velocity, which will give us the forward vector and speed, and we get vector length. And if this vector length is greater than or not equal 0, so if it's not equal 0, that means we are moving. We'll do end boolean. It's not equal 0, we can sprint. If the stamina is not 0, we can sprint. And then we can do one more check, and that is we do have our weight function, and we can be overweight. So you don't want to sprint if we are overweight. So we need to get stats component, get max stat, get current stat, then get max stat, get max stat. All right, max stat. And if the current stat is greater, We can do smaller, but I'm just doing all of them that is not or not equal, so I'm going to do this one as well, not boolean. So here, if the carry capacity, current stat is greater than the max stat, it's not greater, so we not slow down, we can sprint, okay? And instead of just doing branch check here, we can return node, and we can add this pin to create output, and it will just give us the true or false from this, okay? So if we can sprint, it will be true. In event graph now, we can just connect this can sprint, just compile it, and if we can sprint, we can just get our character movement and set max walk speed, which is the walking speed of the character or running speed, and we'll change it. I think default is 500, so let's try 800. And this should already work because we do have a stamina, we are moving and stuff, so it would speed up the character, but it won't slow it down. So if you press shift, suddenly it moves faster, okay? And now it's sliding a little bit as well, but yeah, it moves faster. And now what we can do is drain stamina. So we're going to set up the function that will drain it. This will just be called drain stamina. It doesn't need any inputs. What we can just do here is get the stats component, modify current stat. Stat is the stamina, and value will be like -2. So we'll run this continuously, and it will decrease stamina by 2, okay? What we need to do here in this drain stamina function, again, we need to check if can sprint, because during the sprint, because once we started, it already is going to just run this function, but something can change during the sprint. I don't know, like something can remove your stamina, or you can, with quick slot, you can unequip something or pick up something on the way, and it will increase your weight, you know? So we always need to be checking if we can sprint. If it's true, we're going to sprint. If it's false, we need to disable the sprint. But what we can do is in our event graph, we first need to call this drain stamina. So we're going to do start timer by function. What did I write it wrong? Timer by function name. So set timer by function name. Function is the drain stamina. It needs to be written here the same way, so just copy the name and paste it. And this will start the timer on this function. It will be looping, and it will go 0.1, so 10 times per second it will drain 2 stamina. Okay? And this will run continuously, so when we release, we need to let's just create function called disable sprint, so we don't have to have it here very long. So we're just going to disable sprint, and in this disable sprint we're going to set the walk speed, not stats component, sorry, character movement, set max walk speed, and we're going to change it back to 500. And then we're going to clear timer by function name, and it will be drain stamina again. You can paste it, and it will stop the timer. Okay, so we'll disable the sprint, and it will stop draining stamina. So back in event graph, we can now on released we can disable sprint, which will stop this drain and reset the max walk speed. And then all we have to do is in drain stamina. So if we can't sprint, so this value suddenly something changes and we can't sprint, we will disable sprint as well, so it doesn't continue to drain stamina. Because for example, if you didn't do this check and you would release the forward like top arrow, or W, you would release W, so you would stop running, but you would still drain stamina, okay? So that's why you have to do checks like this. And then also we need to check here after we update the current stat, if the stamina just suddenly didn't change to 0. So in here we can just get stats component, get current stat, stamina, and we'll do is less or equals 0. Run check. Oop. B and click. Oop. There we go. Connected here. This one I can drag down. So if suddenly stamina is less than 0, we disable sprint as well. Okay. So as we go and graph, can we sprint? We got stamina, we got everything, we can sprint. We'll set the walking speed to 800, start sprinting and start draining stamina, okay? If we release, we stop stamina, stop draining it and stop sprinting. If in the drain stamina suddenly something changes, we also disable sprint and disable draining. Or when the value falls under 0 or to 0, then we'll stop sprinting, okay? And now it should actually work. So press shift, hold shift, sorry, not press, because if you release it stops. Hold shift and it's draining stamina. One thing you can see is not probably very smooth, okay? And I don't like it, so it's a bit jagged because we're removing maybe quite a lot of stamina. But if you change it to 1 here, I think we can sprint for a really long time. Yeah, I think it's too much on the 400 stamina and stuff, and it's still just jumping too quickly. So let's change it to -2, and in the event graph for time looping we're going to change it to 0.01. okay, so this time it will run 100 times per second, and we need to change it in drain stamina to 0.2, so divided by 10 as well. Okay, and now if you sprint, it goes nice and smoothly. Okay, it drains the stamina and stops sprinting. Perfect, so we have this function done, and now we just need to regenerate the stats. Okay, and I'll build the whole other system, and I think I found a really good way we can do it. We're going to set up the regeneration in our stats. So in our stats component blueprint, we're going to create 3 new stats. Yeah, one more thing, we need to do it in the stats first, in the enumerator. So open your stats enumerator. You're going to create a new one called health regeneration. Then mana regeneration. Do it the same order as you have here: health, mana, and stamina. Health, regeneration, mana, and stamina regeneration. Okay. So now this way we can have also this. We can have these stats on items as well, and it will be like a small value because we can change it to display it as per second instead of max stat or current stat. We can change it on our display stats for per second. But we'll leave that for next time. But for now, what we can do in the stats component, we can set it up as well. So we'll do health regeneration. I'll leave it at 0 because I don't want my health to regenerate. We're only going to be using potions and stuff like that to activate generation, or maybe some food items. Then I'm going to create mana regeneration. That could actually have some value, but I'm just leaving it at 0 for now. But for stamina, we basically, it depends how many seconds you want it to take to regenerate full stamina. So if you got 100 stamina, if this goes by second, then you need something like 30, which will still take 3 seconds to regenerate. So something about 30 is, I think, good value. You can either increase it or decrease it. So I'll compile and save, and now we will go to stats component again, And in here, so when we set up the, in the set current stat, when we're calling this event, we're also going to create new function that will start regenerating the stats that we want to regenerate. Okay, so in event graph, let's create new custom event. So in the stats component, custom event, this one will be start regen. So just start regen, or just do start regeneration, doesn't matter. And here we will need input. So stat. This will be type stats e. And what we can do is on the now in the set current stat, we will call event, so we need to call it because it's not a function, and it's start regen. Did I compile it? Start regeneration, start regen. There we go. So if you don't see it, compile it. The stat we will do is stat that we need to connect here. Can also start making it a little bit tidier because it's starting to be quite a lot of stats moving around. We can also get this stat as a variable here, but just leave it as it is. Now in start regen, we're going to switch on the stat, so we'll handle it here. And we only want to regenerate health, mana, and stamina again, okay? Nothing else. Later on, maybe you want to have some, I don't know, adrenaline or something like that. That will also have a regeneration, but for now, this is all we need. So we need to set up the function to regenerate each stat, but we can't do it. We can't do it modular way for all of the stats one function, because we need to set a timer on that regeneration, and timer won't let you select the variables, input variables from the function. So that way we need to create regeneration for health, mana, and stamina separately, okay? So what we're going to do is create function called regenerate stamina, and in here what we're going to do is just set current stat, and we're going to get current stat. I don't need to write it, it's here. Get current stat. Stat will be the stamina, and we will get max stat. Again, get it from here. Just get max stat. And this one will be the stamina regeneration, because we store it in a max stat because it's only one stat value, same as armor and anything else. Right, here you make sure you create it in max stat. Okay, and now we're just going to do current stat plus add the stamina regeneration and add it to the value. And then I think we need to do one more check here. Timer. So we'll start. Okay, so again we're going to set timer on this, so this will run. So one thing we need to check if the current stat is not greater than the max stat. Okay, so current stat, again, get it, and max stat, get it. If it's greater or equals, actually greater or equals. So if the current stat is already on max stat, we will clear timer by function name, and we'll clear again ourselves, so regenerate stamina. We haven't started it yet, but we'll just copy this, paste it in here, regenerate stamina, so we'll stop it. This one set current stat also handles, so the stamina here, by the way, so the stamina doesn't go over the max value, because in that function we do have a check that will clump it between, so it won't go over. That's why we're just checking here if it's like technically if it's equals, because it won't go past the max. And now we need to start this timer. So what we can do is in the event graph, we will do regenerate. No, we're going to set timer by function name. Function name is the regenerate stamina. It will go from stamina, and this will just automatically, when we change the stat, and the stat we are changing, either max stat value or current stat value is stamina, it will start regenerating stamina, okay? And this would work, and on regenerate stamina, this would stop where it would be at max value. But again, there is few things that we don't want to regenerate it non-stop. We want to have some kind of delay when we're using stamina and when we start regenerating stamina. Otherwise, it will be non-stop regenerating, okay? And that is not like the way that they do it in the games. So the way we're going to fix it in the in the stats component, in the event graph, we're going to first clear timer by function name. I always spell it wrong. Clear timer by function name. Function name will be regenerate stamina. So first we clear it if you already run it, but then we do add something called retriggerable delay, and this delay will be like 2 seconds. And you can read it here. What this does is calling it again while it's counting down will reset the countdown to duration. So let's say first time we stop we change the stat. This one won't do anything because we're not regenerating it. Then it will wait 2 seconds from the last time we have used the stat and start regenerating stat. If we use the stat again, it will clear the regeneration, and again it has to wait 2 seconds. But if we trigger it again, so if we change the stat again, so we still sprinting, we keep changing the stat, which is stamina, it keeps running, and this keeps resetting to 2 seconds. As soon as we stop changing any of the stats, this duration will start counting down, and after 2 seconds we are regenerating stamina. Don't forget to set looping here. And again, let's do 0.01, so it runs smoothly. It will run 100 times per second, but then what we need to change in regenerate stamina is we need to divide the stamina regeneration, so divide it by 100, okay? Because otherwise it wouldn't be per second. So if you have this one at 30 per second, then if you divide it, it's 0.03, and that's how it will update 100 times per second, okay? So divide it by the value and add it here. Compile and save. And now we do have a stamina regeneration, so let's see if that works. Start sprinting, stop, wait 2 seconds. It goes extremely slowly. Stats component. What have I changed? What have I done? Stats component, event graph, looping, 0.01. Yeah, why is our regeneration so low? Stamina regeneration is 30, which we're dividing by 100 and adding it to current stat. This will be like a silly mistake somewhere. Stamina regeneration. So this is 30. So stamina plus 30. All right. Let's see. Set current stat value. Get current stat. Set current stat. Did I do something wrong? Start regeneration, which will start regeneration. Stamina, regenerate stamina. It's looping 0.01. This seems to be all correct. Why it then go so slowly? Is everywhere stamina? Oh. Stamina. Give me a second to figure it out. All right, okay, I got it. I called it in a wrong place, because if you go to set current stat and calling it here start regen, it will this will be called all the time, this set current stat, because we're just modifying it in our regenerate stamina. We're setting the current stat, so it will call it again and cancel the clear event basically and gives it a delay. That's why it waits 2 seconds, because it regenerates. So what we need to do is from set current stat just remove this, and we're going to go to modify current stat, and after we set the current stat we will start regeneration. This way it will run after, so it won't keep resetting. So start regen. I can't find it again. Start regen, and the stat is, we have it here, just drag it and connect it. So in modify current stat, also in modify max stat we need to do it as well. So modify max stat after we set max stat. Okay, so we'll start regen and the stat will be the stat here. All right, so if you modify both of them, because we can change the max stat value as well, as I said, from the armor or something, we want to start regeneration as well. Okay, now hopefully, let's see, we train it, stop. Ah, cool, it regenerates, but I think I changed it to something slower. So in regenerate stamina, in the, where am I? I'm so lost. Right, in the event graph, in here looping, I changed it to 0.1 just when I was testing it. Okay, so 0.01, compile and save. Boom, drain it. Well, that's it. That might be even too slow actually, so if you want to change your regeneration as a default one for stamina to maybe like 50, that way it does it in 2 seconds. Well, actually I think this is good. So we're sprinting, use all stamina, stop sprinting, and then you have to press shift again to start sprinting again. Okay, but you need to have some stamina. All right, so this works fine. And now just the last thing what we can do is, I don't want to display stamina all the time when it's full and we're not using it. So what we can do is we can go to our player HUD, and let's close this one, and in the player HUD we can just check if branch, if the stat equals stamina. So we can drag this tag and equals enumerator stamina. And what we could do is just set visibility in the beginning to hidden, and when we're using it we make it visible here, and then hide it again after. What we do is retriggerable delay. But I don't want to just hide it, make it visible, invisible. I want to animate it to fade out. So we want to make some nice effect. Okay, let's do it properly. So we can set the retriggerable delay here to maybe 4 seconds. You want to have more than the stamina regeneration, otherwise, you know, the stamina will start and it will never hide. Or like basically set it to 4 or 5. Because if stamina is regenerating, it will still show, it will keep showing, and then after it stops regenerating, it will take 4 seconds for it to hide. Okay, so what we're going to do is in designer, we click on the stamina bar, we're going to here go down to animations. There is one thing with animations that it won't let you change. Wait, if I open the animations, here you can see which ones you can set as a key value that you can change. all of these little diamonds that you have, but you can't change the tint of the background image, so we wouldn't be able to hide the tint. So now what we're going to do is we're going to wrap it with border, same as we got for health bar and other bars. We're going to wrap it with border. All we have to do here is just reset padding so it doesn't change your stamina bar, and change the tint to 0 so you can actually see that border. So the bar is exactly the same, but now we got the option to change this. You can see you got the keyframe here on this one to content, color and opacity, and now we can change the opacity and it will hide the whole bar. Okay, so go to animation, select the border, go to animations, add animation. This will be fade out, and click on this fade out, add border. You have to have it selected there, so border, the first one, and then we will here track, and we will track the content, color and opacity. Okay, here you can open it up. You got alpha channel. We'll move it to, maybe you want to do it 1 second. Yeah, 1 second is fine, and we will change this value to 0. That will automatically add the keyframe to this animation, and now you can just compile and save it. So wait, just to show you, if you play it, it will just disappear, okay, in 1 second. And now in the graph, what we can do is get this animation fade out. We will play animation, and again will be after this retriggerable delay. So if it keeps regenerating, we won't, but when we stop after 4 seconds, we will do fade out. Play mode is forward, start time 0, loops, playback speed, all good. We don't have to change anything here. And then just here in this function, we need to, after the stamina bar here, we need to actually get that border, which we don't have as a variable. So this border that we have changed, it can be stamina bar border is variable graph. You get the stamina bar border and you set content, color and opacity, connect it here and connect it back to set %. And from this content, color and opacity, we can just change it here to 1, 1, all ones. Okay, so it will be white as it was as a default, and the alpha channel will be white. And that is all. Compile and save. Now play the game. So in the beginning we didn't have it hidden. Okay, so it will regenerate obviously because it won't hide while it's regenerating. Now after 4 seconds, boom, gone, fade out. Now we use it, goes again. Okay, there's just one thing that it wasn't hidden on the beginning. So one more time in player HUD, designer, go to that stamina bar border, content, color and change it to 0 when we start the game. Okay, so we won't be seeing it, and then it instantly pops in when we're using it and just fades out. Okay, stamina bar, stop running, regenerating, and now when the retriggerable delay starts, 2, 3, 4, boom, fade out. Perfect. So now we got the regeneration for our stats done. That will be quite useful later because I wanted to do potions, and some of the potions might give you some increased health regeneration, so it will be very useful. And you know how to update now your health and everything. So now when we take a damage, we'll be updating health, or when we use the mana, you can update it as well. So very good system to have, and we can just keep going. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.